If you've ever been interested in getting BOA golf shoes, in this video I want to explain to you what the differences are that you'll see between traditional lace shoes and BOA shoes using the example of the Adidas Tour 360 shoes. We're going to talk about that in this video today. I'm Ryan Balaji. Thanks for being here. Subscribe to the channel. Would appreciate it if you would do so. So as I've mentioned, I've been doing shoe reviews for years on this channel, and we've done a lot of Adidas shoes, whether that's been the traditional lace version or whether that's been a BOA version. We've had a great relationship with the folks at BOA over the years, and I was turned on to BOA shoes probably 7, 8 years ago, almost 9 years ago, if I'm thinking about it right. And I've been wearing BOA shoes for a lot of that time, and when the opportunity has come to be able to review BOA shoes, I've done it because I love the comfort, the custom fit, and what comes with having a BOA dial as your lacing system for your shoe. However, I've seen and gotten a lot of comments over the years and heard a lot of remarks from friends I've played with when I've had BOA shoes on, and they've asked me what the difference is between having a BOA shoe and having a traditional lace shoe, and if the difference is enough to make it worth it to pay a little bit more money to have the BOA lacing system in comparison to a traditional lacing system. And so I wanted to go through that in a video today using the example of the Tour 360 shoes from Adidas this year. They have two versions, right? They have a traditional lace version and they have a BOA version. And as you can tell, they clearly look physically different, right? There are clear physical differences between them this year that aren't always there, but that's something we're going to start with, which is the physical difference between the shoes. What Adidas has done very well over the years is try to make something that distinguishes their BOA versions of shoes from their traditional lace versions of shoes other than the lacing system. And the reason for that is because they have very much invested in this idea that BOA shoes are worth a premium and deserve to look a little bit different in their own right, not just slapping the BOA dial system on and calling it a day. There are a number of manufacturers who fundamentally do that or make models specifically to have a BOA system included as an option compared to the lace version. FootJoy tends to do that, although they also have some pretty novel integrations of the BOA lacing system as well. So that's one of the things you have to think about when you're looking for a shoe with BOA. How different does it look compared to the traditional lace version? And sometimes you're going to find one that looks just like the lace version, but there's going to be a BOA dial either in the back or over here on the side or maybe over here on the kind of ankle area, almost always on the outside or on the upper of the shoe. I've never seen it on the inside of a shoe, even on the inside upper. It's almost always on the outside because that's how you think about it with your hand. You kind of come down to your foot, pop it or unpop it, and lace it that way. So this year with the Tour 360 you have quite a difference, right? This, you kind of have a sleeve for your upper here. You've got this to zip off, and then behind it you obviously have something that's actually integral to the BOA lacing system, and that is these pieces. They're going to be kind of hard to see in the shoe, but basically they provide the support that you would normally get from a lacing system that brings the tongue down and gets to your foot and helps compress it, right? With the Tour 360, that's very important because the idea of the Tour 360 is to use kind of these three stripes. They kind of have a dual purpose, right? They help close the shoe, they help keep your foot snug, and they give you that kind of support that the Tour 360 is known for. So when Adi came along to do the Tour 360 this time around, they wanted to have this covered up, right? You use these kinds of flaps basically to pull it down in concert with the BOA system, and from there they wanted to kind of cover that up a little bit so you didn't necessarily have to see these while you were playing golf because you're not going to adjust these anyway. If you make any adjustments to your BOA shoe, you're going to do it with this dial, so you can just zip it up and it looks unique. Now some people are going to be turned off by that. Some people will not like that it looks unique and different even if they get some of the actual benefits of using the BOA system. And I'll come back to that in a minute. But what about the rest of the shoe? Well, I wanted to do just an easy straight up comparison otherwise, right? because a lot of the functionality of the shoe is otherwise the same. So let's, for example, take a look at the spike patterns here on the bottom. They are basically one and the same, right? There's not really a difference between them. So you've got your one look here. This is the bottom of the BOA version, and this is the bottom of the traditional lace version. They're the one and the same. Same outsole, same positioning of the spikes, same positioning of the nubs. Now you will notice that little torsion tunnel they have. This is the lace version versus the BOA version are a little bit different. And that's kind of to be expected because the functionality here of having this 360 wrap, the namesake of the shoe, is connected to having a traditional lace system. That is not the case with the BOA version, so that's going to look a little different. But the outsole looks the same. The padding, your boost padding, that looks all the same. The entire shape of the shoe basically looks the same, just with some different touches to it. So, if everything else is the same, what makes the difference? And that's where we come back to the BOA dial system. So the BOA dial system is basically a replacement for your shoelaces. And it allows you to make micro adjustments to fine-tune your fit instead of having to untie, retie, tie it how you want it, whether you want it tight, whether you want it not so tight. You don't have to do that with laces now. You can do that with just the dial. So what happens is this dial system has wires basically that run in connection with it. And you can kind of see them here, but you're never really going to see them throughout this particular shoe. Some models you will see it more, some less. And some use different versions of that lacing system. Some use something that's made more of like a fiber, some use it more of a coated metal. Depends on the company. Both are great, both are very stable, but they're wound to work with this dial system so that when you pop this out and you hear that click, you can open up the shoe. And by opening up the shoe, you can customize your fit, right? You can see me pulling this apart a little bit. You slip into the shoe, you kind of see some of the cable there, right? This is more of the fiber version. But put your foot in, then, in this case, you actually wouldn't zip this up quite yet. Then you're going to pop this dial in, and you're going to twist. Hear that clicking? And it's going to twist and get tighter and tighter until you get the fit that you want. And that could be any kind of tightness. What I normally wind up doing is I'll put it on just to go play golf. I'll put it on a certain kind of tightness, not particularly tight, take it to the golf course, and then by the time I get to the first tee or on the range, kind of actually start hitting golf shots, I'll tighten it up just a little bit more to get it where I want it to play golf. So it's not suffocating my foot, but I know my foot's not going to move in it. A little bit different than when I arrive at the golf course. And I like that because now I have the fit that I want. I don't have to tie my shoes again. If I want to make adjustments through the round, if I want it tighter or looser, it's simple to make that adjustment. If I want it tighter, just keep it popped in, twist it a couple of times. It takes a half a second to do it instead of 10 seconds to tie my shoes. If I want to loosen it up or want to kind of start over, pop it out, pull out the flap, pull out the torsion, the system, and then just do it all over again. Pop it in, twist it, it's done. And that's about the same amount of time it takes to tie my shoes. But I love the custom fit because it is much more in tune with someone who's doing something athletic. It's much more in tune with what you're trying to do out there on the golf course, especially if you're trying to hit the ball hard. I know there are a lot of people who love to play golf with spikeless shoes or nubs or even in tennis shoes, and that is totally up to you. That is your choice. But the data clearly shows from years of study that having shoes with a great fit that prevent your feet from moving around on the inside of the shoe, that prevent your feet from pronating over the edges of the shoe, and that have spikes, you are going to hit the golf ball farther on every single shot. You are leaving yards on the table if you don't wear spikes and you don't have well-fitting golf shoes. That is why, fundamentally, I believe in BOA shoes. And yes, they do come at a premium, anywhere from $15 to $25 compared to the cost of a traditional lace shoe. That is true, you are paying more. However, if you're investing in a great shoe like this one that can be $250 or a similar style shoe with a BOA option, now you're giving yourself a better guaranteed fit and you're putting that money into a shoe you know is going to last. So if you're planning on wearing a shoe for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and a lot of people do that, then having that extra $15 to $25 into a BOA so that you know it fits right and it's a guaranteed fit, and if it gets messed up, BOA will take care of it for you. You're in great shape. You're in great hands, and it makes a lot of sense. So for people who are curious about BOA and want to give it a try, I cannot encourage you enough to at least take a chance on it. Even if you want to go look to a cheaper prior year model just to see for yourself. And there are plenty of those options out there where you can go to a golf retailer, go find a model that's 1 or 2 or 3 years old, still in their stock, go buy the BOA model, try it for yourself. I think you will see that the fit is worth the extra price, and going forward, you will seek out those BOA options. Not on every shoe, because not every shoe requires it, and not every time do you want to have the BOA look. But when you are trying to have shoes on your feet that allow you to perform at your best, BOA is almost certainly going to be a part of the equation. Leave a comment for me. Let me know what you think about the BOA fitting system, or if you've tried other similar fitting systems in the past, and if they're for you or not. Love to hear your feedback, of course. Get a hold of me on social media at Ryan Ballingy. Thanks for liking the video and subscribing to the channel if you're new, and we will catch you next time.